Good day, Crime Talk aficionados. We are back here in the Crime Talk studios, and we have a great show for you today. First, the Delphi murder trial gets even more bizarre. A good old-fashioned luring to a house for a killing. Road rage. I'm telling you, it is so dangerous. Let it go, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, another pastor's been arrested for you know what. This is one way to resolve a landlord-tenant dispute. Didn't end so well for the landlord. Dodgers win the World Series, so let's go loot the town. We have this day in legal history and our dumb criminal of the day. Let's talk about it.
All right, lawyer.
Good day, everyone. My name is Scott Reich, and this is Crime Talk. Thanks for joining us. You know the drill. Subscribe if you haven't. Like if you do. Leave me a comment below. Hit that little bell for notifications. And yes, you can check us out on any of your favorite podcasting apps. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I'm telling you, this is what you need to do. You need to go to crimetalksearch.com. And I'm telling you, we use this. We used this morning to try to find somebody in an upcoming federal trial, and it worked. We found them. If you can't find someone or somebody new is coming into your life, go to crimetalksearch.com, do that background subscription service where you can have a report, a background report, literally generated while you wait, and it's going to give you all types of information. Where they live, do they have a criminal history, do they have liens, judgments against them? Is this the type of person you want coming into your life? Are they on one of those sex offender registries? Yeah, go to crimetalksearch.com and find out. All right, let's go ahead and open the record today for October 31st. That's right, Halloween, ladies and gentlemen. Hope you all have big plans or not. You know, take the kids out, maybe grandkids. Have fun, be safe. All right. First, the Delphi case. Well, the defense has filed another motion asking once again for the judge to allow in their Odinist theory in the defense case in chief. And really what the defense has said in their motion is that, hey, judge, everything that we have tried to argue why we think we should be allowed to have this alternate suspect is relevant because it's all coming out in the prosecution's case in chief, but we should be allowed to have somebody explain what this all means, versus all just this weird stuff that's taking place of branches being placed here and what have you. Now, judge hasn't ruled on it just yet. Certainly there's certain things that one can do, but this is on cross-examination, but this is the type of thing that really the defense is going to want to put on an expert to help try and explain what's going on. We'll see. I wouldn't hold your breath. Usually once the judges rule, they don't like to change their mind. That's what appellate courts are for. All right, so let's go ahead and once again get to the trial against the state of Indiana versus Richard Allen. It continues Thursday, October 31st, and that's exactly 2 years to the day where multiple law enforcement agencies announced that they actually had an arrest in the Delphi killings. That's right, that's when they arrested Mr. Allen. Now, he is obviously accused of killing two teens who went missing back in February 13th of 2017, and they were found dead the following day. Now, he was arrested back in 2022 and faces 2 counts of murder and 2 counts of murder while kidnapping in the deaths of Abigail Abby Williams and Liberty Libby German. Now, jurors heard several phone calls that Richard Allen made to his family members during day 12 of the testimony at the Delphi trial. Now, how did they get those phone calls in? Well, the state called Brian Harshman. He is an Indiana State Police Master Trooper, and he explained to the jurors that he recognizes the voice of the famous bridge guy as that of Mr. Richard Allen. Why? Because it's his job, it's been his task, to monitor all calls made by Richard Allen in the prison. And he said he's become quite familiar with Allen's voice, and after listening to some 700 prison calls that he's made to his family, he is quite familiar with that voice and says, yes, the bridge guy, get down the hill. This guy's saying, that's Richard Allen. Now, as Trooper Harshman testified, the prosecution played audios of the calls in which Allen repeatedly confessed to his wife, her name is Kathy Allen, and he says that he killed Abby and Libby. Now, the call spanned a series of a few months within the first half of 2023. And that spring, Allen began telling his family that he had found God and later began confessing to killing Abby and Libby. Now, Kathy Allen, the wife, seemed disturbed and upset and refused to accept her husband's confessions to her. And as he confessed in many of the calls, Richard Allen also seemed to express confusion and believed that he was actually losing his mind. And Allen would state, "Did Kathy tell you? I told her the other day that I accept the Lord Jesus Christ and Lord as my Savior." He told that to his mother, Janice Allen, on April 2nd of 2023. "That is so wonderful," his mom replies. The following day, Allen called his wife. "I want to apologize to you," he told her. "I did it. I killed Abby and Libby." "No, you didn't," his wife responded, and she cried on the phone. Richard Allen says, "No, yes, I did, but I don't know why." Now, they've messed you up, is what his wife said, and why would you say something like that, she repeatedly asked. "Because maybe I did it," Richard Allen said. "Because maybe I did it?" "Anyway, there's something wrong," Allen's wife kept telling him. "They're screwing with you there." In another call on May 10th of 2023, Richard Allen told his wife that he was definitely losing his mind. In another call shortly after that, Allen talked about the possibility of receiving the death penalty. No, that's not going to happen. This isn't right," his wife would say. "They're messing with you so bad." Again, Richard Allen then would confess on the phone. "I did it," he said. "I did it." "No, you didn't. Stop it. Stop saying that," his wife would tell him. "We're going to be back together," she would proclaim. And then on June 11th of 2023, Richard Allen again said, "I did it." "You didn't do it," his wife said. Later in the call, Richard Allen says, "I feel like I'm already in hell." Now, the prosecutors are replaying the enhanced audio from the bridge guy video in which a man's voice was heard saying, "Down the hill." Well, the prosecutor asked Harshman if he could recognize the man's voice. "The voice is Richard Allen," the trooper stated. Now, once the calls were played in court, the prosecutors then asked Trooper Harshman about his investigation. Now, Harshman described Allen's demeanor as subdued and solemn during the calls. He testified Allen used the same tone and speech pattern as other calls and said there was no indication that he was under stress. Now, Harshman examined a report from Dr. Monica Walla that allegedly included Allen's confessions as well. Allen had said he had visited his mother and declined a lunch invitation. He then went home, grabbed a coat, and drank a couple of beers. He told Walla he saw the girls on the trail and followed them with the intent to rape them, and he ordered them down the hill and messed with his gun, which is when he believed that the bullet found at the crime scene may have been ejected. He said a van startled him, prompting him to panic, take the girls across the river, and kill them. Now, Harshman thought that the van detail was notable. He wasn't aware of it, so he conducted further investigation. He went through old reports and learned about Brad Weber, who testified and owns property across from the murder scene. Now, Harshman said the old reports didn't mention Weber's van or what type of van he drove on the day of the murders. He didn't think it was just general public knowledge. Anyway, Harshman talked to Weber and developed a timetable, and he knew Libby German's phone stopped moving at about 2:32 p.m. on February 13th of 2017, and he found out Weber clocked out of work at 2:02 p.m., and it would take him between 20 to 25 minutes to get home. Now, Weber would apparently use North 625 West, taking him past the murder scene, Harshman testified. And Weber testified as much, that Weber would have been in the area between 2:28 and 2:30 p.m., which lines up with the state's murder timeline. Now, Allen gave the detailed confession to Walla back in May of 2023, and Harshman didn't even read that report until August of 2024. So the bridge guy video from Libby German's phone was again played in court. Harshman testified that he believed the voice from the video was in fact Richard Allen's. Now, during cross-examination, Mr. Rozzi noted that there were some 14,000 tips in the Delphi case and said that there were numerous references, perhaps hundreds, to white vans in evidence that has been turned over in discovery. Now, Rozzi tried to poke holes in Weber's van testimony, and he also asked Mr. Harshman, or Trooper Harshman, if he considered Weber a suspect since his van was near the murder scene at the time of the killings. "No," Trooper Harshman responded. Rozzi also said in court that Allen was likely on medication during the time of the calls and asked Mr. Harshman if that would have had an impact on his speech. The investigator couldn't say. Anyway, Rozzi also asked Mr. Harshman if he was aware of some of Alan's bizarre behavior while in custody and asked if he had seen video of him eating his own feces. Mr. Harshman said, yeah, possibly I've seen that. I would think that'd be something you'd never forget. Anyway, Rozzi asked him if that was normal behavior. The trooper responded, not for me. Anyway, Rozzi mentioned that Alan was in custody and said, I'll tell them whatever they want to say, and asked if it would be unreasonable to think he was just saying anything. That's not my interpretation, the trooper responded back. Now, Rozzi also asked about one of Alan's earlier phone calls to his father that led to an objection from the prosecutors and a sidebar with Judge Gull. On redirect, the prosecutor said he wanted to play another call. It continues, gets a little more bizarre, ladies and gentlemen. I'm telling you, it's going to come down to, do they believe that those were confessions? Does he know information? Does Richard Allen know information that nobody else knew? Or are they just trying to look for something to say, look, there's corroboration that his statement is correct? Or was he just saying whatever he needed to say because he truly, in fact, was losing his mind? I've had clients that said, talk about editing, so to speak, but they said, I'll tell you whatever you want to hear, but it won't be the truth. Of course, they left that out. It won't be the truth part. So you got to be very, very careful and very suspect of this. You also have to take it all in context and try to figure out the truth. Let me know what you're thinking. I mean, is this new information that you're thinking Alan is innocent or guilty? Let me know in the comments below. Next on the docket, a murder case in Utah has added a couple of co-defendants because apparently they knew they were going to lure somebody to their home in Utah and kill them. So this case takes place in American Fork, Utah. Never heard of it before. But officers with that police department have now arrested 2 more people in the connection of the murder of 42-year-old Matthew Rostelli back in July of this year. Now, Catherine Rostelli and Tracy Grist have been arrested for conspiracy to commit murder. Now, 33-year-old Kevin Ellis was also arrested and in custody for murder, possession of a dangerous weapon by a restricted person, and possession of a controlled substance. So according to the police, what they allege is that on Friday, July 12th at about 10 p.m., they were called to a home in American Fork for a report of a man who had been shot. Now, when the police arrived, they found Matthew Rostelli dead from multiple gunshot wounds. 3 other adults and 2 children were in the home at the same time. Catherine Rostelli, the wife of Matthew, Kevin Ellis, brother of Catherine, and Tracy Grist, Catherine's mother. Now, the 2 children were Matthew and Catherine, and they were unarmed. They have now been placed in the custody of the Division of Child of Family Services there in Utah. So the police department says that what followed their arrival was an intensive investigation. And what they believe happened is that Catherine Rostelli and Tracy Grist worked in concert with Kevin Ellis to lure Matthew Rostelli from California so that Ellis could kill Matthew. Now, following this investigation at the scene, police questioned Kevin Ellis in the presence of his attorney. They told detectives that at the time that he had, in fact, shot Matthew, but believed that he was acting in self-defense, claiming that Matthew had a knife. Mr. Ellis and the attorneys declined to answer, however, how the knife was produced or if Matthew had threatened anybody with the knife. Now, the attorney also told police investigators that Kevin had stated that Matthew had shown up to the home uninvited and unannounced at the time of the shooting. Well, that may not have exactly been the truth. Now, records in the case show that Matthew and Catherine lived in California, but were having marital problems. So Catherine came to Utah to stay with her mother, a woman by the name of Tracy. And police said they believed that the motive behind the murder was that Catherine, who moved to Utah to live with her mother, wanted a divorce and was worried it would be a lengthy process. That's right. Don't go through the divorce. Just kill the ex, or soon-to-be ex, right? Good thinking. No. Bad plan, ladies and gentlemen. Bad plan. Killing usually bad, okay? Usually bad. Anyway, police said that she was also worried that she would lose her kids. And now she's done that. Anyway, Catherine told the detectives that Matthew had decided to drive to Utah to speak with her and called her multiple times along the way. And apparently under California law, from what people understand is that Matthew wanted the children back in California. They would need to be returned, and Catherine didn't want to return the kids back to California. So Catherine, Kevin, and Tracy's phones were seized during the murder investigation, and a search warrant was obtained to search through those phones. And the search showed that Catherine had gotten a text message from her sister on June 20th reading, "I'll be watching the AirTags and let you know as soon as it updates." Also found on Catherine's phone was a screenshot of Apple Maps with a blue dot sent from her sister showing the location in California. That is where, guess what, Matthew Rastelli's residence was in the state, and led investigators believe they were tracking his whereabouts. Now, when police searched Matthew's truck, which was in front of the home when he was found dead inside, they discovered the AirTag device in a cloth storage drawer resting on the passenger side of his truck. Now, the AirTag was found at the bottom of the drawer, which was filled with random debris, including some paper, receipts, magazines, snacks, and drinks. Now, based upon the location of the AirTags, detectives observed it would have been difficult to find if you were not, in fact, looking for that, like it maybe had been planted there and hidden. Well, following the search of Tracy's phone and an iPad belonging to Catherine, detectives say they were able to show that all three of these suspects shared access to these AirTags and were able to monitor it. And then on July 12th, the day of the shooting, Catherine would send a text message to her brother at 10:01 p.m. reading, "Keep an eye on Find My," the Find Your Phone. Anyway, the police would receive the first report of shots fired just 10 minutes later. Now, on the day of the shooting, before the medical personnel had actually arrived on the scene, police took a picture of the victim lying on the floor on his stomach. However, police stated that when they were observing the pictures, it didn't appear that Matthew was holding the knife when he was in fact shot. It appeared that the knife was deliberately placed into Matthew's right hand after he was shot and was actually dead. So the knife itself was from a brand called EVATAC. Now, the detectives searched that brand and found that the knife was one put onto mystery boxes sent by My Tactical Promos. Detectives also found an email from Tracy Grist's cell phone sent to supportmytacticalpromos.com. Ooh, so it was the sister's knife. Ooh. Anyway, the email from Tracy dated April 10th of 2024 requested that the company stop sending the boxes to an individual in California because the person subscribed had passed away. Well, police searched Tracy's phone and found that in April she had gone to California to assist a friend in an estate planning due to her husband, the one that subscribed for the tactical boxes, had passed away. Now, pictures of Tracy was also found and was placed in the California at that time. So detectives found it reasonable that Tracy could have obtained the knife from that particular manufacturer from the California residence, bring it back to American Fork, Utah, where police stated that in their affidavit for the arrest warrant. So 3 days after the shooting, a friend of Catherine reported that she and Catherine had been in friendship for years and would speak daily through text apps and other video messages. And the friend, who wasn't named by the police, stated that on May 13th, they received a message from Catherine's wife, which read something to the effect of, "I'm trying to wait. I just might murder Matt today, though." The friend, who would also tell detectives that the day of the murder, Catherine would make a post in social media group stating, "I have to do big girl things this morning. Wish me luck." The day following the murder, the friend would state that Catherine called her and told her that Matthew was dead. When the friend offered her condolences, Catherine would tell her that it was okay and that she was happy. Now, in a video call later that day, Catherine would tell her online friends and her husband that her husband had died and would show the group the area where they died, including the blood left on the carpet. 2 days prior to the shooting, Catherine would text her mother, Tracy, that Matt didn't want to drive to Utah and was sending her money for a rental car. Now, Tracy would respond saying that Catherine could fake having a sprained ankle and not drive to California due to that. However, on the day of the shooting, Catherine and Tracy would text about the rental car, with Catherine saying he is going to drive out. Tracy would then call Catherine for a 5-minute conversation. During the investigation, detectives would conduct a search warrant of Tracy's internet history, finding the following searches. How old were Dan Markel's kids when they were killed? Katie Magbuna, second trial, defense charts, Utah gun law registration, Utah shot break-in. How does private sales of firearms work in Utah? How to establish Utah residency, to file for divorce if wife is in Utah resident and husband in, say, California resident, how to get my U.S. passport fast, applying for a child's passport, what are the legal implications of taking your kids on vacation without the other parent's permission? If my child's father and I do not have a custody agreement in place, can he take my children and not return them back to me? What to do? Parental kidnapping and no custody order. Cemetery American Fork. Cemetery near Alpine. Donna Adelson. Movies and TV shows. The new Dateline episodes. Donna Adelson arrested at the airport. Ashley Judd's family feud. Winona tracking her car. When was Donna Adelson arrested? So it looks like they're a bunch of true crime people, or maybe they were obviously trying to see what worked and what didn't. As you may recall, Donna Adelson was arrested for helping to arrange the murder of her son-in-law, Dan Markel, and it was also discovered by detectives conducting the internet search that Dan Markel's murder, that there were custody issues between Donna's daughter and Dan Markel, who was in a divorce with Donna's daughter, Wendy Adelson. Look at that. When true crime becomes the inspiration to committing true crime, you know the world is going to hell in a handbasket, ladies and gentlemen. Anyway, a search of Catherine's phone would find that during his trip to Utah, she at no time told him not to come and to pick up, that she didn't want him there to return to California. Instead, police say that she would assist him in choosing the best roads to travel, give him her mother's address and the gate code at the gated community that they lived in, and even put out cardboard that he requested so that his truck wouldn't leak oil on the asphalt. Now, Catherine Rastelli and Tracy Grist are now facing charges of murder, obstruction, and 2 counts of domestic violence in the presence of children. Anyway, it's rare that we have a murder, let alone one where somebody is lured from another state to our city to be murdered, the police chief said there in American Fork, Utah. Crime, ladies and gentlemen, it can happen to anyone. And be careful out there. Kind of like this next story, road rage. I'm telling you, I have handled so many road rage cases over the years. Usually involves a firearm. Somebody even just cuts somebody off. Somebody will pull the gun up. They'll hold it up. They'll put their finger up. That's menacing. You think you can't do it. Don't do it, ladies and gentlemen. Let it go, okay? It's just simply too dangerous. You don't know the other person is thinking on the other side. In fact, it could get you killed, kind of execution style. So there's a man accused of murder, and he made his first appearance in a Florida courtroom there in Hillsborough County yesterday. Kentavious Gloston was arrested Monday and charged with second-degree murder for the death of Stephen Powers, who was 61, after the two got into an argument in regards to a traffic altercation. Now, Powers and Gloston were driving north on US 301 when Powers saw Gloston racing dangerously through traffic. The police say that Powers honked his horn and Gloston became enraged. Gloston reportedly brake-checked Powers before stopping his car in front of the man's van, the older man's van. And Powers then got out of his van, and the sheriff said the older man's temper got the better of him, and he tried to throw a punch. But guess what? Mr. Gloston, the younger man, threw him to the ground. Well, at that point, the threat is pretty much over. But that didn't stop Mr. Gloston from murdering Mr. Powers on the street, apparently execution style. Apparently the suspect fired 3 rounds into Mr. Powers' back. He waited for a moment and he waited to see if he was still alive, then fired 2 more rounds. Anyway, the judge ordered Mr. Gloston to be held without bond and have pretrial detention awaiting his next court appearance, which is set for November 4th. Ladies and gentlemen, that can happen that quickly. Obviously, one man is now dead at the young age of 61. Mr. Gloston, 26, is probably going to spend the rest of his life in prison for murder over some bad driving. Unbelievable, ladies and gentlemen. And, part of me is like, let it go. And then the other part of me is like, at least we find out who can't handle stress or altercation in life, that they would go around shooting people for something so trivial as this. Makes no sense, and obviously we'll give Mr. Gloston the presumption of innocence, but if he is found guilty, I think he is going to deserve every day he gets in prison. Next, a mega church pastor been charged. With what? Come on, you can guess. Come on, you know. A youth leader at the Beltway Park Church has been arrested and charged with possession of child pornography. How many times have I said this, ladies and gentlemen? Don't get me wrong. I love my children. I can't wait to have grandchildren, okay? But I really don't want to hang out with a bunch of other people's children. And the people that usually want to hang out with other people's children, you got to ask yourself really deep, hard questions like, why do they want to hang out with other people's children? Okay? And this isn't a guy thing. This is even, we have ladies that are doing things to kids these days, but it really makes you wonder, ladies and gentlemen, because these people want to be around what they like and what excites them. It's common sense, ladies and gentlemen. Anyway, according to arrest affidavits, a member of the church contacted the Abilene, Texas Police Department with concerns regarding one of their youth leaders. And the affidavit states that Charles Goff met a fellow church member and admitted to struggling with his addiction to pornography. Anyway, Goff specifically said he struggled with videos of teen girls between the ages of 14 and 15. Well, detectives met with Mr. Goff, and he admitted to soliciting nude pictures from teenage girls using various social media platforms. Police state that they found 3 pornographic videos of young girls on Mr. Goff's phone. He was booked into the Taylor County Jail on a $100,000 bond. Can happen to anybody, ladies and gentlemen, okay? And these guys and women out there that have this thing for underage individuals, they're there trying to get access to these individuals. They're hanging around kids, right? If you ask, hey, Scott, what do you like to do in your spare time? Hey, I like to go to the airport. Why is that? Because I like aviation. I have normal hobbies, right? Not, hey, I think I'm going to go get that second-time job down at the pizza parlor where all the kids hang out, right? No, that would be weird, creepy, and you should all be very suspicious. But I like airplanes. I like the smell of Jet A. I like the rumble of jet engines. Not going around hanging around with little kids. Next on the docket, yes, we have a landlord dispute. This is one way of ending it. So a man is accused of killing his landlord Tuesday after he did so in front of the victim's pregnant girlfriend. Randall Hennessy was denied bond at a hearing today, and that hearing lasted all of 3 minutes. That's usually about as long as they last. Anyway, Mr. Hennessy is now charged with the murder of the shooting of the death of Douglas Mashad, who was trying to evict him. Now, while the hearing on Thursday only lasted about 3 minutes, court records reveal some new details about what happened. Now, according to the arrest affidavit, Mashad's pregnant girlfriend, Jamie Wakefield, called police about 3:15 on Tuesday and reported that her boyfriend had in fact been shot. And police say that they found Mashad's body on the front porch of his home a short time later. And the affidavit also says that Mr. Wakefield told police that she had encountered Hennessy in the vestibule of the building where they live, and he appeared to be quite confrontational. When the two started exchanging words, Mashad arrived and told Hennessy to leave his girlfriend alone. Neighbors then heard yelling, and according to the affidavit, Hennessy then went upstairs to his apartment while the couple went out on the front porch. That's apparently when Mr. Wakefield heard Hennessy say, "Doug," as she observed Hennessy emerge onto the porch and shoot Mr. Mashad in the chest several times with a handgun in front of the victim's pregnant girlfriend. The affidavit also states that Mr. Hennessy then left the scene and the girlfriend started rendering aid. The girlfriend said Randy then appeared on the porch and shot Doug in the head at a close range while she was consoling him. That's cold, ladies and gentlemen. A couple times in the chest, come back and shoot him in the head. Anyway, when police say they arrived at the scene, the victim's girlfriend told the officers several times that Randy shot him. Randy shot him. Hennessy had fled the scene on a motorcycle and was arrested later in New Hampshire. This all took place in Maine, if I didn't mention that. Now, the next thing we know is that the police were everywhere, and the girlfriend was out there screaming frantically that Doug had been shot. Some neighbors say that the argument between the two men was over an eviction. Now, the court records show that Mr. Mashad had previously tried to evict Hennessy back in 2020, but the parties reached an agreement and the case was later dismissed. Ladies and gentlemen, it doesn't hurt to be nice. I have said this for years. It just never hurts to be nice. Hell, it could actually save your life, could it not? Be nice, ladies and gentlemen. Be nice. Anyway, the Dodgers, if you haven't heard, won the World Series. The LA Dodgers beat the New York Yankees in 5 games, So what's the logical thing to do if you're a fan in LA? Well, of course, it's burn the city down and go loot. That's right. A couple of World Series celebrations descended into mass chaos Thursday morning in Los Angeles, with shops being looted by gangs and fireworks thrown at police. Normal celebratory actions in LA, apparently. Now, we here in Denver wouldn't know about a winning team, so we wouldn't know about that. We've made it to the World Series and lost in 4 games, the Colorado Rockies, and we have an owner that won't spend any money, so the chances of ever getting back to the World Series are about slim to none. So maybe I can't be too judgmental here, because we just don't know what it seems like to have such joy that we need to loot and burn if you win the World Series. I just think I'd be happy. Anyway, the police there in Los Angeles shared a video of people rushing out of a Nike store stealing boxes while a bus was set on fire near Dodger Stadium. Now, fortunately, nobody's been hurt, and police said that arrests have been made, but they didn't reveal how many people have actually been arrested. You can see the looters playing basketball in a trashed Nike store as the celebration turned ugly, and apparently the celebratory LA fans were chanting "F the Yankees" as the celebration unfolded there in downtown LA. But as things turned bad, the Los Angeles Police Department had to order people to disperse during the night, saying that social media that a hostile crowd were throwing fireworks and other objects at police. What can you do, ladies and gentlemen? What can you do? I'll be curious to see how many people are charged with arson of the bus or the buildings or the looting. My guess is 0. I'm sure the district attorney will say that they were simply expressing themselves, and this is the way that they express themselves. No. People have a right to celebrate, just like people have a right to free speech and go do certain things. They can put limited restrictions on it. But once you start breaking things, once you start burning things, once you start assaulting people, that's not a celebration. That's not a protest. That's just criminal conduct, ladies and gentlemen. Which is probably why this day in legal history, back in October 31st of 1966, the FBI launched the National Crime Information Center, also known as the NCIC, which is a computerized database that assists law enforcement agencies in sharing information on criminals, stolen property, and missing persons. The NCIC is transformed criminal investigations and remains a critical tool for U.S. law enforcement. In fact, that's what most criminal histories are, NCICs. All right, and then also on October 31st, 1978, the Supreme Court heard arguments in FCC v. Pacifica Foundation, a case concerning the Federal Communications Commission's authority to regulate indecent material on public broadcasts, and the eventual ruling allowed the FCC to regulate broadcast content impacting First Amendment interpretations on broadcast speech. That's why you can't say bad words on the evening news, although it seems like they're kind of leaning that way more and more as you go. Anyway, there you go. This day in legal history, ladies and gentlemen. Next is our dumb criminal of the day. These two just should have got a room. Please meet Tisha Booth and Keisha Edom. We'll give them the presumption of innocence, but apparently these two women were on a road trip to reconcile their relationship when they exited Interstate 85 in Livonia, Georgia last week. Now, apparently the duo stopped at about 7 p.m. to make a pit stop, and the police then received a report of an indecent exposure at the rear of the Raceway gas station. Police responded, located the white female on top of a black female, and each of them had their pants pulled down, exposing their pelvic regions. The suspects were found on a patch of grass between the Raceway and the McDonald's restaurant, in public view, according to law enforcement. Now, Miss Booth, 49, and Miss Edom, 37, were arrested and booked for public indecency, and they were in the county jail. And in a recent Facebook post, police recommended that if individuals were tempted to reconcile your relationship with your lifelong partner, get a room. How many times have I said that? Get a room. Anyway, Miss Booth resides in South Carolina. Miss Edom, a resident of the great state of Georgia. Ladies, get a room. Nobody cares what you do, how you do it, a little bit where you do it. So you probably should get a room. When in doubt, get a room. All right, that's all we have for today, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for watching. Have a wonderful day. We'll see you next time. And remember, yes, the Constitution matters. And all those little kids, be safe out there tonight.